We are Angela and Marion and Angela.
Underqualified and over opinionated.
Absolutely.
Fuck it
and
up,
we
fuck it up, fuck it up.
have some guests with us today.
Yes, let's introduce our guests. You will probably remember Brian from a few episodes ago, talking about polygamy and other things fun.
Other things fun.
Can you introduce yourself to the people?
Hey guys, this is Brian, formerly known as B-Rock.
Formerly, the artist formerly known as B-Rock.
B-Rock, you find me on Instagram at B_Rock718.
What? Not the 718.
Team Wingate. All right, and you brought a guest with you, a friend.
Yeah, it's my longtime friend for 12 years and also mentor.
Okay.
You know, good guy from good homie of mine. So
a homie?
Yeah.
Not the homie.
And what's your name, homie?
How you doing? I'm Jay.
Jay, all right.
Just Jay.
Just all right. Jay with the beard. Just leave him right on over there. But you're a mentor to Brian.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take it that you are a gentleman that knows some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I am pretty well-rounded when it comes to that.
Awesome.
All right then.
I wouldn't get Larry up the block.
Oh, not Larry. What's wrong with Larry? Larry has a business. He has a car wash.
Nah, I'm good.
Larry takes care of all his kids. I like Larry. I don't have no problem with Larry.
Well, we have a lot to cover, and so we're going to get started with Monique.
Your boo.
My boo.
Your girl.
She is in the news once again. She's upset.
Tripping.
Netflix offered her $500,000 to do a special, and she felt like she was worth more because of her comedic resume.
Right. And then what did she say?
And she wanted us to boycott
Netflix.
I can't even say that. Do you know how many shows are on Netflix?
Bitch.
When she says us, who is
Thank
us?
you, not me.
She means her
The
brothers
Brownies,
and sisters.
The brown folks.
Her brothers and
She means
sisters.
if you used to watch the Parkers, you need to sit right alongside with her. Here's my problem with Monique right now, right? Let me tell you why. One, the last thing that she did that we know her for is her tirade on stage, cursing everybody out that helped her become who she is because of X, Y, and Z. Everyone got it, basically. L.A. Reid, Oprah. She had a word. She told everyone. Didn't she tell everyone to kiss her, to suck her big black dick?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
believe
what she said.
those were the choice words that
Is
she.
that a legend?
That's not a legend because it's on tape. Because the bitch said it. So you're coming right off of that. That you haven't done really anything that would wipe that out, right?
Right.
Second, your star isn't. It's not that it's fading, but it's nowhere near as bright as a Dave Chappelle or an Amy Schumer that you had the nerve to compare yourself to and decide that you deserved the amount of money that they're getting.
Right.
She sat up in here and said that you should boycott them for gender and racial bias. I'm like, ain't nobody gender or racial bias. You just named a white woman and a black man making more money than you. How are they being biased? How?
What she was trying to get at was really, okay, she doesn't want the $20 million. She doesn't want the $11 million. But
Right.
$500,000 is a slap in the face. So she'd probably be happy with $3 million. You understand
But
what I'm
here's
saying?
the thing. Don't you think, can't you negotiate that with Netflix quietly?
Well, maybe she did, and it didn't pan out in her favor, so she took it to social media.
She took it to a place where she's now she's
about to be asked out.
No one is boycotting Netflix.
Well,
it's just going to play. You're playing yourself. I'm not. Listen, Orange is the New Black comes back soon.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror is out, bitch. You know how great that show is? Dave Chappelle's special. I just sat through the whole. I laughed real tears.
Yes.
Came out my face watching that shit. I'm not stopping for you, Monique. I'm sorry. I'm really not. In fact, is the Parkers available on Netflix? Because I might just watch that shit and get my dose of Monique that I could have got if she had just shut the fuck up and did a 3-hour special for $500,000. And here's my other thing. You do your special, even if you're upset, even if you don't think you're making enough. Netflix is the biggest streaming service, period. It's damn near ready to take over for cable television.
Let me say this. Remember when Dave Chappelle walked away from the Chappelle Show?
And who did he come back to? Who did he come back to do? A Netflix
He was
special.
crazy.
He was
Everybody said
crazy,
that he
in
was
my
crazy
opinion.
to walk away from the $5 million that they offered him.
50.
But he was also a huge star when he did
But what I'm
that.
saying is, we could sit here and go back and forth all day about the $500,000.
Sure.
I would take it.
Thank you.
But I'm not Monique. You understand what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but you also shouldn't. It's one thing to walk away from something when you feel like you're being discredited or downplayed. I get that and I agree with that. But she needs to understand that she's Monique. She's not, she's not Dave Chappelle. You're not Kevin Hart. You cannot just.
What?
My point is, you're
So-
not. No one.
so-
Are you gonna sit up and you're gonna pay to go see her special? If you had to choose between paying to
from
see,
her perspective, is completely
Well, the
different. Like
thing
she's
with
been in the
Monique-
game for a long time.
it doesn't
Like,
matter how long
she's-
you've been in the game.
It doesn't matter.
It
Of
doesn't
course
matter.
matters.
Mace has been in the game for years.
Yes,
You're gonna go.
and-
You're gonna go to his concert
Yes, I
over.
would. Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
She probably has a.
Then
I
you
would.
you can also boycott
Yes, I
Netflix
would.
right along with
No,
her.
I'm not
But-
gonna say I was gonna boycott.
Okay.
Netflix,
I just
and
wanna
need
say
put
this.
words in
I
my
just
mouth
wanna
for
say
what
this.
I'm
I'm saying.
I just
That's
wanna-
what she's asking for.
I just need to say this.
That's what she's asking for.
I need to say this about Monique. With Monique, the $500,000, I understand that it was an insult for your resume in 2002.
Hello.
But with your resume right now, and right now you're being boycotted
yes.
because of your outlandish,
Outlandish.
jumping all over the place, just saying whatever you feel. The
About
conversation,
heavy hitters.
the conversation. If you have a problem, you need to have that discussion behind closed doors.
Yes.
And what what she's failing to realize is that for her to ask for more than that, she has to understand that most people, they know Monique, but they also know Monique as in cussing out Tyler Perry, cussing out
Exactly.
Oprah Winfrey, cussing out Lee Daniels, and all of these people have given her chances to be great.
Exactly.
So with the issue is with Monique is that I think her ego is feeding whatever she's
Yep.
doing, and I also think that her husband is feeding her and letting her think that, oh yeah, baby, you're worth this, you're worth that, you're worth that, and I just don't feel that. She should be
she's
that
tripping.
$500,000 is a boost to get people who
Put your
are
name
right
back
now
out
to
there.
come
Yeah,
back out
you're
there.
basically you're an underground rapper at this point. Like, let's be
Let me
honest.
say this.
You are. You need to get on the radio station. If the radio's not trying to pay you, but the radio's gonna play your shit, you need to go ahead and let the radio play your
let me
shit.
say this: in business, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Right.
Facts.
That's
but,
it.
Right.
But
So
that's the point. The
she
whole
didn't-
point is
she
she's
wasn't
tripping.
happy with the offer, and she tried to negotiate.
But she
better
played
and
herself.
I wouldn't say she
DJ
played
Khaled,
herself.
congratulations, you played yourself
But-
because she's not. No one's boycotting Netflix, and now you just look
No,
stupid
but
asking
see,
people to
you
boycott
keep
Netflix.
harping on the boycotting Netflix.
That's what we're talking
You don't
about.
have to boycott a Netflix to support her.
But that's what she's calling for.
But
This
you
is
don't
my
have
point.
to.
But my point is that's what she's calling. We're
So
We're not talking about whether or not she should have asked for more money. I'm not talking about that. I think that she definitely could have at least been thrown $1 million. Absolutely, I think that she should have. But my point is she went and took it upon herself to stand in front of a camera and tell people to boycott their favorite streaming service with some of their favorite shows, also that she can make more money after she went up and stood in front of the same people and cursed out some of our favorite people, including Oprah.
But
Bitch!
I tell you what. I think even that what she did was a good marketing tool, regardless, because
Man.
we're talking about her now.
Facts.
We're talking
That's
about her
fair.
now, but
and because she went at such a big entity, which is Netflix, I feel like she's gonna build something. She's gonna build.
She
some
ain't
type
gonna
of
build
publicity.
nothing but being roasted.
I
But
personally
here's
feel
the thing: Prince, when he was negotiating his contract with his record, hold on. People said he was crazy. When
Yes.
Jay-Z turned down Apple, they
Yes.
said he was crazy.
Yes.
She's doing what she feels is in her
Do you
best
realize you
interest.
said the names Prince and J fucking Z?
It
We're not.
doesn't matter.
Monique is not on their
It
level. You
doesn't
have to be on.
matter.
You have to
If
be on
you
people's
don't believe
level.
that you're worth
You gotta
that
play.
money,
You
who
gotta
else
stay
will?
in your lane though.
Who else will?
But you have to build yourself back up to being worth that money. Like Angela said, she was worth that money in 2002 when her name was popping. But now she's just the crazy lady that is funny.
Oh,
but
she's a crazy lady.
she is as of the last time
I
she
think
cursed
Monique
everyone
gonna
out
be waiting
on
downstairs
time.
for you.
Yeah.
Probably because she's crazy. I wouldn't
Okay.
surprise me.
but at the
You
same
walk out
time,
first.
Man,
but at
Go
the
out
same
back
time,
door.
Oh, thanks.
I want
but
no
at the
parts
same
of
time,
that.
if
Chivalry
Monique,
is dead.
if Monique was popping like that, she would have had more than just Netflix on the table because
Facts.
there's Amazon, there's Hulu,
Exactly.
there's all kinds of other streaming services
And if
that
she was
could have been
popping,
on.
they would have offered her more money because the people that are popping, they offer more fucking money. And people like Amy Schumer, who came out and said, you know what, $11 million is not enough. They gave her $13 million to do her shit because she's fucking popping right now. Period. I'm irritated. That irritates the fuck out of me because people, like we always say, bitches need to learn how to do the Kelly Rowland and just calm the fuck down and get the fuck on and get your money and be calm. Like, but you come out and you try to, I can do better than Destiny's Child, so da-da-da. You end up like lactivacious, whatever the fuck
Latovia.
that, Latovia, what is it?
But that's
Leviticus? I don't know these bitches' names.
we could
I don't know. They're irrelevant.
We could disagree and agree, but at the
I
same
disagree.
time, I think that
I agree with myself.
I think I think that with Monique, I think that a lot of it is about her ego, and I do think that her
Yeah.
husband is hyping her up to be a little bit more than what she is.
But isn't that
because
what a husband's supposed to do?
I'm a fan.
To a certain
I
extent.
don't follow her. I don't.
We're fans too.
he doesn't need to push her to be delusional?
Right. That's the thing.
Because
She's being delusional.
she said things like she's the most
She said, "I'm the most decorated comedian
Absolutely.
alive."
I mean,
She's not.
What?
Again,
She's not.
I don't agree
What?
with that, but that's on her.
What is decorated? Is she talking about what she wears?
I guess
Like,
so.
I don't get it.
I guess so.
I'm just
But
so confused.
we can go on and on for that, but we
Listen,
need
I
to
can't.
give
That's a
time.
whole other podcast.
We can give time for what we came here for, and our topic of today
Yes.
is why
Marriage.
should you get married, or
Yes.
don't you want to get married?
Yes.
So
And
we
what does
will-
marriage mean?
Yeah, what does marriage mean? Because a lot of us are wanting to get married, and
Yeah.
we're also coming against a lot of the gentlemen that we are wanting to get married to are not wanting to do that specific thing.
Well, I don't know about a lot
but
of
they
us,
want
so
to,
that's
but
not
they
my
want to
concern.
do marriage things. So I'm
Yes.
going to open up the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and I want
Looking at
to.
me.
I think I want to start off.
I
I
wanna
really
start
want to
with
go
Jay.
around and ask people
Yeah.
what their idea of marriage is.
Yeah.
I want to start with Brian, simply
Oh my
because I
God.
know Jay's idea is going to then
This
spark
is
a new conversation.
disaster.
Where's the hot tea? No, I feel like you're
It's a disaster.
because I've spoken to you. No,
It's a
no.
disaster.
I'm just
Where's the
saying.
love?
I'm not
Nothing's
saying
here.
it's bad. I'm saying it's going to spark a different type of conversation. So I
Yes.
want to start off with what Brian's idea in general
Mm-hmm.
of marriage is.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, my idea of marriage. I mean, for what I know, for what I know it to be as of now, it's a business.
Okay.
True.
And then, depending on how good that business is, then comes the love. That's how I feel about it. So, and it works hand in hand.
Angela's face. You are so annoying.
In a nutshell, that's what I feel.
Oh my
That's what I honestly
God.
feel about
I
it.
need you to speak your truth, Brian.
What?
I need you to speak your truth.
So you don't need love to marry someone.
I think a lot of. I mean, it depends. It depends.
You said it was after.
Yeah.
Yes.
If a business person is a businessman before marriage, then that's a different story. They're gonna look at it from a business standpoint. Hence
Okay.
Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know what I mean? That's a different. Then there's people who marry for the wrong reasons, and then sometimes those marriages are not the best. You feel me? So.
Okay.
Um,
So what is a reason to get married, or why do you think people get married?
Man, that's a good question. People,
Thank you. That's why I'm,
people
have,
have,
doing this shit.
People have their own reasons. I think they think that they're ready. You know, they feel like they're ready to take on the responsibility. They're ready to commit,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're ready to, build a family and all that. So I would think that would be one of the reasons why people, want to get married.
Because they're ready, or because they want to build a family.
From the love perspective, I feel like that's one of the reasons why people choose to get married.
Okay.
From the business standpoint, I think some people get married based on, investments and just a good financial
Partnership.
foundation to build from. You feel me? That's how I feel.
How about you, Jay?
I mean,
Are you married?
no, I'm not.
Okay. Are you trying to get married?
I'm not trying to do anything.
Oh.
The reason why I
Is this
said,
mic on?
here's the thing.
It was his face though. that did it.
Yowza.
You could go your whole life saying you don't want to do this and you don't
Right.
want to do that until that person comes along.
Right.
Sure.
And then you change everything that you swore on a stack
Absolutely.
of Bibles that you will never do. Now you're entertaining the thought of doing those things.
Sure.
But at this present time, I'm not entertaining the thought of marriage. So I don't have anything, a problem with it. I'm not against it or for it for that matter. It's just I know me, and when that person come along, then I'll entertain the thought.
Are you in
Okay.
a relationship now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
How long have you been with her?
Yeah, I'm in a relationship.
Oh shit. All right.
What, did the mic just blow up? What the hell just
Well,
happened?
so the reason, and I don't know if you mind us mentioning this, but one of the main reasons that we were interested in talking to you is because you are older than me. Like you're, how old are you, if you don't mind? Grown.
He's grown.
You're an
I'm
adult.
Grown man.
All right. And
You better say it for the people in the back, Jay.
and so that one of the
man.
reasons that I wanted to definitely have you on is because typically we expect, as people get older, that's kind of a priority for them, finding a spouse.
I would say more so for women.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's
I don't know. I've seen that. I've come into contact of late with a lot of men saying, like, you know, one of my goals in life is to marry,
Right.
is to
Well,
find a
let's
wife.
be honest. Not all, most men that get married is because that's what the women want.
True.
Okay?
Okay.
And they do it because they love her and they want to make her happy.
Right.
But if it was up to him,
They never get
they're
married.
cool with the way things are.
Absolutely.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Because they're
I'm
getting
asking
everything.
why.
Because they're getting
I
everything
mean,
that being in marriage
let's
is.
be honest.
Don't do this.
It's the truth.
It's so soon.
What do you get? What guarantees do you get from marriage?
Literally that, a guarantee.
Yeah, give me one.
Okay, so because Angela and I were actually having this discussion, the guarantee, right, for me, and this was I thought this was gonna come out later, but we'll just go and dive in.
Always be ready. Always
Be ready. So for me, the guarantee, the reason that people, or for myself, that I would want to make that change into marriage, right? You have to think about what is a marriage, because Angela keeps saying, you know, you can be married to someone and not really be married. You know, if you've been living together, you've been, you know, starting a family, et cetera, you're doing all the marriage things, but you're not married, it's no different. To me, it is hugely different, simply because marriage is an actual commitment in the law and in front of God, whoever you believe to govern these things, to work it out, to try, to stick around, to fight for what you got
But
going
you do
on.
that in
waiting
a
for that
day-to-day
guarantee that I
relationship.
But
asked
you
for.
don't. The
You still ain't
guarantee,
getting-
the
yeah,
only
I'm still waiting for the
guarantee, the only guarantee is that I told you. I realize that there are huge consequences for ending this marriage, and I am okay with accepting those because I love you that much, and I actually want you to be my partner.
Do you know what a guarantee is?
Okay, a guarantee, yes.
Because
Yes.
you still didn't give me a guarantee.
The guarantee, okay. I guess there's no guarantees, but there's no guarantees
Thank
in
you.
life. There's
Thank
no
you.
guarantees in life, though.
Okay.
It's a promise. It's a promise.
A promise is a comfort to a fool.
I'm sorry?
A promise is a comfort to a fool.
He said a promise is a comfort,
Comfort
to a fool.
Okay.
That's some real grown man shit right there.
You better. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I can promise you anything right now.
Yes, but if you
What?
don't
That
deliver
could
on
change
those
my-
promises,
what
And then
happens?
what?
exactly. That's
I
the point.
changed
That's
my
why
mind.
marriage, and that's why
I
marriage.
changed my mind.
But that's why people get
And we're
married.
entitled to change our mind.
people
Yes,
can
you
change
are.
their
But
mind
this,
in marriage.
that's
then
the
where's the
entire-
guarantee?
The guarantee is that if you change your mind on me and we've been together 15 years, you don't get to just up and fucking leave me with a bunch of kids and nothing to do.
Yes, they can.
Why? Why not?
No, because I'm taking half, nigga. Like,
But if
that's
you-
why.
But what
If
if
you
you
don't
make
have
I am
more?
taking
What if
half.
you make more?
If I make more, then
Then I'm
that's what it
taking
is.
half.
Okay, then that's what it is.
So
But
where's
that's
the guarantee?
the guarantee is that we both understand that we're making this commitment to each
Listen,
other,
let's
and
stop right
we've
now. There
Why
are
would we
no
stop?
guarantees.
Yeah.
There are no guarantees.
Yeah.
There are none.
Yeah.
never okay.
Okay.
You're asking the word guarantee. There's but I don't think that you need a guarantee
Let
to
me
get
ask you
married.
something.
That's
If-
like
if
saying,
you're-
okay, if I go to college, am I really gonna use my degree? Maybe not, maybe so, but you should
But
still
that-
go
that's
to
the
get
intention.
it. Exactly.
That's the intention.
But that's my point.
All right, if you're with someone for 5 years and you
Right.
live together, why get married?
Because you are not going to turn around and we're living together 5 years, et cetera, and then out of nowhere you see something walking past with a big old booty and you're done with this
Married
whole
or not,
relationship.
They can do
Married or
married.
not,
That's what they can do
that's
when
what
they're
they're gonna
married.
do.
Exactly,
They're
but
gonna do
it's
it anyway.
what you have to understand is this, right? The problem is this. A lot of, and I know women right now dealing with this right now.
Yeah.
They do not work. You have men that will tell you, hey, I want you to stay home and be with, our children. I want you to take care of this
Absolutely.
house. I want you to take care of me, etc. And that's fine. And women, a lot of women want that. They're fine with that. That's like their goal in life is to just have a happy family and raise beautiful children and be with someone that loves them, etc. You turn around 7 years in, and this man leaves you, and you have no skills, you have no resume, you have nothing to fall back on. You're fucked.
But
And
whose
if he
fault is that?
wasn't,
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
but this is
Definitely your
my
fault,
point.
yeah.
My point is this: the
So
fault
you know-
does
So you're
last.
looking
do
to be
you
a
know?
housewife?
No, I'm not.
But
But
do
that,
you-
what you sound
I'm
like.
saying, but I'm saying there's women that are like that. I
But
didn't
do you
say
know-
me. Did I say me?
No, he said you sound like it, but
I
it's
said
fine.
my point is I'm making the point of the housewives. There are women
Listen.
and then there are women whose men want that. There are tons of men who want someone to be a
Any man
housewife.
in 2018 that
Yeah.
want a woman to sit home and take care of kids,
Not in New York City.
he
at
needs to
least.
reevaluate himself.
But there-
Okay, that's ridiculous.
But there-
hold
That's
on.
absurd.
Go ahead.
That's an absurd way.
Unless
That's completely.
He makes a ton of money.
Which he
and-
might.
Hold on. Unless he makes a ton of money, and now any man that making that kind of money, you're gonna be uncomfortable with that. You know why? Because you're gonna say, well, if he could take care of me, he could take care of other people.
Facts.
That's not the idea. The entire purpose. You're pretending like we don't have different ideals of relationships and marriage in this society. Anyone can be comfortable in any type of situation. That's the same way we had Flo on here and he was a polygamist and he was comfortable in his situation. The same way we can have a housewife in here and she's comfortable and her husband is comfortable because that's what he wants that woman to take care of and pay attention to.
The fact of the matter is this: you love a person enough to marry them. Okay, you could go day by day. That's all you could do. Take it day by day. It
Absolutely.
might be a day that you would wake up, me or her, and say, "I don't want to do this anymore."
True.
Okay.
Right, but
And
the
hold
idea
on,
of marriage is
hold
that
on.
you have to at least try.
Yeah,
But you
Because
try
if you,
whatever.
it's too easy. It's
Listen,
too easy for people to
listen.
just walk out of your life like that.
Okay, you can't stop them. The
You know,
worst
you-
thing to do is to try to force somebody to be with you that don't
True.
want to be with you.
Absolutely,
no more.
completely agree
So
with
let
that.
them go.
I completely agree with that. But you're not gonna turn around, like I said, in 8 motherfucking years and leave me high and dry. And I got your kids.
All right, what about in 6 years? What about in
Any
5
years?
What about in 1
Any
year?
years.
What about
Marion,
after the honeymoon?
you also have to
I
think
just
of
don't
it.
want to do this anymore.
My point is,
Sorry.
when you're talking about building a family, when you're talking about joining lives and building a family, dating, whatever. Dating is fine. Date someone for 10 years, whatever.
But
But
it's
once
the
you
same
start
thing.
having
What's the
kids,
What's the difference between dating someone
It's
for
the
10
same
years
thing.
and being married? What's the difference?
the difference is once you're married, you have sat down and really said to this person, I want to be with you forever.
No.
And
Do you realize that
What?
married people are more unfaithful than people that are dating?
that's not true.
No,
That's
it is.
actually no. I have
gotta
looked at
go
the
do some
stats.
homework.
I did, and
No, you
when we were
didn't.
talking about cheating,
Okay,
no,
okay,
because yes,
okay.
I did. Because when we were talking, yes, I did. Pull up
She's
something
so big.
right now. Pull it up
I
because
don't
you're
have to
saying
pull up anything.
you're
It's
saying
right here.
you're saying exactly.
It's
You're
right
saying
here.
alternative
It's a
facts when I
fact.
literally just was
There's
on
no
the
such
podcast
thing as
earlier.
alternative
Well, you're
facts.
saying them right
A
now
fact
because
is a fact.
that's
Married
your decided
people
facts.
are more unfaithful
Okay.
than people that are dating.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just wind this up because everyone is
This
getting
is a
real lit.
disaster.
What
Oh,
I'm
good.
saying, what I'm trying to say is with marriage, and people think that with that contract, that's saying to me or saying to the other person that, oh, I'm forever going to be faithful to just you, or I'm going to give you this promise of just you. But if I'm with you for 10 years and I'm married to you for 10 years, it's still 10 years.
Exactly.
So
Okay,
it doesn't
so then,
matter.
Angela, why do
that
you wanna get
That
married?
piece of paper. The reason
Why
why
do you
I
wanna
want to
get
get married because I want to spend my life with someone.
So why
and
not
I
just spend your
necess-
life with them and not get married?
Because I don't want to.
That's a good question.
No, because exactly, this is bullshit.
It's
Don't say I don't want to.
Hold on.
when
Because
you say you
I
wanna
don't
do
want
it.
to. Because
Here's the thing.
me
What
personally,
is it going to add to your life to be
personally,
married?
I feel that I deserve to have someone else's last name, and that's just who I
Bitch,
am,
that
and
is
that's what
so
it is. It's not
arbitrary.
There are
bitch.
people that's
No,
married
I'm
that
not-
don't have their husband's
That's
last
true.
Exactly.
But for
And they
me
don't
and
want
who
it.
I am,
And you can also take someone. You can change your name.
absolutely.
Just
but
go on down to the courthouse.
I got
change
that.
Your name.
You asked
So
me
why get
why I
married?
wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't have a list on as in this is gonna make my life better. All I know is that I'm not gonna spend 10 years with someone and I don't have a contract. That's for me.
But this is my point.
That's for me.
This
But
is
I'm
my
not
point.
saying you're wrong.
Okay, that's
I'm
all
I'm
I'm
not
saying.
Back to
saying
what
you're
Brian
wrong.
said.
No one is saying
That's
you're
all I'm
wrong.
saying.
All I'm saying
That's
is
all
that
I'm saying.
technically there really isn't a difference between the 10 years that you're spending with this person. This contract is making someone
I got a
think
question.
a little bit harder.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Now, I just want to ask you guys: if you was with someone in 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
they made a significant difference in your life, and they were just opposed to getting married, would you leave that man?
But I would have known that when I got with him.
Exactly. It's
But
not.
how would
It's
you
not
know?
something I
Because
would
you can
entertain.
ask someone, you know, do you believe in marriage? What is your idea of marriage? And like with Jay, he said, I'm not opposed to it, but that's just not on my radar.
Right.
That would be a red flag for me
From
because
jump.
I wouldn't have been entertaining Jay, and no offense, for 2-3 years if I know it's not going to be an end goal.
Exactly.
And that's just
only
for
if
me.
for us,
That's
me and
just for me.
Angela,
Let me
this
explain
is a big enough.
something.
Hold on, one second, because this is we had this discussion when you were here about your priorities, right? And if as long as I make my priorities known to someone that I'm dating,
Absolutely.
hey, marriage is something that matters to me. You're not gonna have opportunity to waste my time because you are going to know marriage matters to me.
Wasted
Period.
time. What's wasted time?
Wasted time is we spent 5 years
I'm
together.
gonna give you a specific waste of time. This is a waste of time, and Marion's gonna laugh at me, but I have to go back in my bag.
Oh, the bag.
Women are fresh and fun.
Oh, this fresh and
From
fun.
20, I'd say about 25 to probably like, I'm gonna say 50.
You keep saying
From 25 to 50, those are your most vital years. Those are your years where men are mostly like attracted to you. And
I
now
really
because
think you're
hold on.
giving 50-year-olds
I would bring it down to
Thank
like
you.
about 40.
Thank you. Thank
And you
you.
basically
Thank
you
you.
even
Well,
40's a
She
little
was
bit
fickle
too-
with it.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank
I'm
you.
saying with the way that people are taking care of themselves now and where they are making themselves attractive. And I'm not saying for someone who is like, at Walmart. I'm talking about someone who, because you seem like a person who has his business together and has a lot of things going on, and you're telling me that if you found a 50-year-old woman who was on the same level as you, very attractive, doing her thing, at that time she's looking to be sitting down, because she ain't going to be the old bitch in the club. She's not going to be the old bitch sitting around in the lounge. And why I'm saying is 25, 50, and 50 is teeter-tottering it. I'm not saying that's a definite number. If I'm spending majority of my vital years with you and I don't have nothing to show for it, y'all are still going to be popping with one elbow in the damn grave.
I have a question. Can we refer back to Oprah and Stedman?
Oprah and Stedman are engaged.
And she.
How long have they been together?
They've been together
for over-
20. They've been together like about 30
And that's
years.
absolutely- and that's
but the
what
only
works for
reason,
them.
the only reason why they didn't get married is that they were about to plan a marriage.
Okay.
And she, at that time, that's when Oprah was. I think she was on the cover of Vogue. She had lost all her weight. She had wrote a book. She was bestselling, and all these things were coming up. And she even said Stedman was like, you're too busy for us to be planning with it. And then after that, it was no longer discussion. But Stedman is not going nowhere, and she's engaged.
Yeah.
But that's goes back to my question, where if a guy is making a significant difference in your life, would you leave that man? You feel me? And
I don't think it would ever get to 10 years because I would nag the whole fuck out of him.
Yeah,
After 4 years, I'm going to be like,
The opposite
nigga, where's my
word
ring?
of your sentence just now was nag.
Yeah.
So
You can't nag a man to do anything.
Listen,
Sure.
and that's my
But
point. That's why I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't
And
make it
then-
10
and-
years
and
is
then
my point.
Back to time wasted. I feel that time wasted is only if I promised you something. Okay?
Exactly.
So now here's the thing. If I said, well, in 5 years we're going to do X, Y, and Z. 5 years come and I didn't do, I wasted your time. But if I never promised you anything, then it's time spent.
Exactly.
It's not time wasted.
Sure.
Okay, so
But it's still turning around after 6 years and starting over. And because if I tell you from jump, I want to get married someday, and you're like, all right, boo, we can think about it. It's something that's on my radar, but it's not a big enough deal for me right now.
Okay, what are you gonna do?
That's like,
What are you gonna do?
personally, I would not be entertaining it,
Well,
but
let me
certain
tell you
people might.
something. A man is going to tell you what you want to hear.
absolutely.
Well, that's a fact.
So
Absolutely.
if I really want you that bad, I am going to agree with whatever you want
Exactly,
to
and that's what I mean with wasting my motherfucking time because
No,
you're
man,
lying.
You wasted the damn
You're
time, but
lying.
I'm
No,
not.
you're the one that told me something. You're the one that told me something.
Yeah, but guess what?
Because
I
you
still
wanted
got what I
whatever.
wanted.
Exactly,
And all I
and
did
you
was tell you
wasted
what you
my
wanted.
time.
All right, call it what you want.
That's exact. That's
you
you
missed
just.
the point.
But
You're
is
missing
that
the point.
but is that really
Bruh.
wasting your time? Because
Yes.
if someone says to you, oh, I'm gonna think about it, blah 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 blah. You told him what you wanted, and you chose to still 1 year after that, 2 years after that, 3 years after that. Technically you wasted your own time.
Exactly.
Because people tell you, and you choose if you want to hear it or not.
But there's a difference between no, because exactly that. You just
And-
said
Yeah.
people tell you the truth and you choose if you want to hear it, or like he just said, men will tell you whatever the fuck that needs to say
Absolutely.
to get what they want.
But if
My
you know
idea-
that, if he's gonna, if he says I'll think about it, and a year later he hasn't said it again. Second
Precisely.
year later,
But that's
he's
what I'm
already
saying.
gave you the answer.
That's what I'm saying. I would never. I was alluding to Brian's point of 10 years of spent together. I would never spend 10 years. I wouldn't have made it there.
What
It would be.
happens
It would be
if
a
I tell you
cutoff
I'm going to
point.
marry you and I just
It'd be a
don't?
cutoff point because you're not gonna get 10 years to say, oh, I'm gonna marry you. I'm gonna marry you. Maybe
Okay.
next year. Maybe next year. No.
I remember one time
Okay.
I met a woman. On our first date, she was like, you want kids? You want to get married?
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
Absolutely. No, ain't no whoa.
No, you're damn right it's whoa. I don't even know you. I just met you.
Did she say
I
with
can't-
her or
can't-
she said in general?
No, with her. Basically, with women is not going to ask if it's for somebody else.
We're
They're asking
asking
for them.
but
I always ask for a friend.
She's hilarious.
You know,
I always
you
ask for a
me,
friend.
It's because that's what you want. So I'm like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
I don't even know you yet. I don't even know if I like you yet.
So you don't think those
you're
are
pressuring
questions?
me to answer these questions right now.
That's
I
crazy.
can't answer these questions right now because I don't know you yet.
But it depends on how she asked you.
What?
Now she was like rapid fire.
Whatever.
Hell no.
Wait, what?
But you can
Hold on.
ease
You know
into
the whole man
I don't
conversation
even know
like
your
that.
last name.
What's the
I'm
problem?
finished.
You
I'm
can,
finished.
you can.
This is trash.
You can.
Trash because
This
you
is
disagree?
trash. No, because it's ridiculous. Honestly, it's
Because you
ridiculous.
disagree.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you this: if you go into a job interview, right? You're sitting down at a job interview, You're not gonna ask them how much they plan on paying. You're not
That's
gonna ask them how
different.
many. No, it's not. It is not.
And their
You're-
job can still lay you off. So it
Dates,
doesn't
but
matter.
look, my point is this: dates are no different than someone interviewing to be a part of your life. That's what the
No,
fuck
it's
I.
not.
Yes, it is.
I
You're
could just wanna
deciding.
fuck you.
But that's a part of my life in whatever manner.
And
but the point is,
I'll wine and
but
dine
this
and
is
whatever.
But
you
this
know,
is
I'll
my
sit
point
there and listen
because
to you
and that's
nag and blah
fuckboy
blah
shit.
blah.
That's
and I'm
fuckboy
like,
shit. So
whatever.
you're just
And then-
saying you're a fuckboy.
But what I'm saying, no, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's what I want to
That's
do.
what I-
I'm saying that this is what people do.
My
not
point is,
me.
I don't think that it makes any sense to be weirded out by someone asking you huge things. If you're dating someone, we're on a date. It's not, hey, I'm hanging out and I just asked you out of nowhere. It's we're on a date. Meaning, we are telling each other, hey, you know what? I find you at least attractive enough to sit across the table from you, and I'm considering maybe doing this over and over for a few times.
Or get a free meal.
Sure, maybe. But if she's asking you serious lifelong questions, I don't think that's a problem. I think it's absolutely important to start off understanding before I waste your time and money with another date. If I feel, hey, you know what? He said that he's not into kids, and I am. He's not into marriage, and I am. He doesn't want to live in New York, and I do. He doesn't, he doesn't like to work out, and I do. If I'm asking you all these questions and we are not syncing up, why am I going to waste your time with another date? Instead, I can just sit there and ask you lollygag and ask questions. But you're not going to get, I'm not getting the penis if I'm asking you these questions and
Bottom line
this
is
shit is
this.
not linking up.
Actions speak louder than words. You could say, "Oh well, I'm done. I'm never calling you
Hey,
again.
X.
I'm I'm just gonna walk away from this and take care of yourself, have a good life." And then you call me, I'm going like, "What happened to all that you said?" At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
people
Absolutely.
do different things for different reasons.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I'm
On
saying
different
asking
days.
those questions, sure, but asking
You
those
know.
questions should not be a red flag at all.
I
think
don't
it's
really
weird.
ask questions out the gate.
So what do you do on the first date? You just sit there and talk about the weather and
talk about general
politics?
things. I mean, of
Just
course,
vibe out,
we're going
yeah.
to get to those things, but I think certain things you cross that bridge when you get to it.
No, because I don't need to be.
No.
It's again with the wasting of time. Like, don't
but
waste my
You have a
time.
couple of hours
That's-
to just
that's a-
entertain.
that's a
think-
I'm talking
approach
about
at that,
multiple dates. You're
I-
talking about we're 6 dates in, and I find out you're a smoker or some shit that I just
Oh, you gonna find
genuinely
that out on the
don't.
first date.
I
But my
think-
point is, but like you said, men will show you what the fuck they want to show
And
you.
women too.
Exactly my point.
All right.
Well,
so
I-
But you should be honest. If you want to really find someone, a woman that is looking to find someone,
Passionate.
yeah.
I-
A woman
I'd
that
like
is
to
looking
talk today.
Hold on. A woman that is looking to find someone should be upfront with her expectations in that relationship. Period.
Yeah, but
Period. Because you're
expectations
wasting
breed
time.
disappointments.
No, they weed out the motherfuckers that are not
You
in it
can't
for the
weed out
same
if that
shit.
person have intentions of lying. How you gonna weed them out?
Jesus Christ. Okay. So that he's just talking about all, and this is good because you're just talking about what fuckboys would do, and not you.
But
I'm not calling you one.
are
I'm saying
they-
that's what they do.
But
Nah,
are
but you might be setting yourself up for a fuckboy if you
Exactly.
pressuring men to constantly.
Exactly.
it's not a
give you the
pressure.
answers
It's
that
a
you-
genuine.
You're missing-
Hold on,
no,
hold
you're
on,
It's a
hold
missing the
genuine
point.
Hold on.
question.
You might
Missing the
be
point.
setting yourself up for failure when
So-
you're constantly taking that approach with men. You're not allowing anything.
Just let it happen.
Let it happen. And
There's a
if-
difference
and-
between
and-
let
and
it
if-
happen,
and
like
if
let's
the
see if we
topic comes
vibe,
up-
and let it happen as in this is something that is big for me, so I don't see the point in vibing with someone that's not
Hold on,
even
hold on,
considering
hold on,
these things.
Hold on. It could be big for you at that moment. You don't know what's big for him at that moment. And like I said,
Sure.
it just takes time to get to that point. When he gets there, then he gets there. But you don't force that and then
This is ridiculous.
hope for the best because you're gonna constantly get the same results.
No, you won't.
With different
So,
different people.
what is
Okay, I'm
it?
sorry.
let's just
Go
go.
ahead, Angela.
Let's just. Thank you.
Sorry, boo.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't
Yes,
know you
I'm
were
here, y'all. I'm here.
Angela stepped down. She smoked a cigarette. Got some.
And a joint.
Got some.
Damn. But anyway, with you going on with Mary and talking about waste of time, I think that you should always have a set time in your mind on what you're willing to do and what you're not going to willing to do. So if you're having a conversation with somebody and they're telling you all these things, and as women sometimes we say, oh, but I'm different. He'll change to do this and he'll change to do this.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
what I'm trying to find, what I'm starting to realize with speaking to these different men, that they're all saying the exact same thing. It hasn't changed. I could say, ask a question to Brian, ask a question to Jay, and in some way, shape, or form, they're speaking the same type of language.
Which
If
is
a
what?
man is not ready to do whatever he's going to do, he's not going to do it, and
Exactly.
he'll feed you all kinds of stuff, and if somebody's feeding you some mess. Like if you
Absolutely.
say to him, oh, I'm going to be in a relationship in a year, or I'm going to, oh, well, I'm not really ready for a relationship,
I'm focusing
or
on
I'm focused on myself, or
I don't think I'm good enough for you,
or if they'll
that's-
say something to the effect of, well, I don't really think about marriage like that. When they say stuff like that, that they're not thinking
And
about
that's my
marriage like
point.
that with you.
And that's
it's
my
not
point.
With you, but if someone is saying that to you, you're wasting your own time if you still invest time
And that's my
into dealing
point.
with them.
That's my point. My point is that's
Someone
why you
can't
have
waste
to
your
ask
time
these,
unless you give them that.
But my point is that's why you have to ask these questions so you don't.
Asking the question is a waste of time.
Yeah.
What? Now you want to talk about waste of time.
Action
Nigga.
speaks louder than words. Don't call me Negro.
well,
Actions speak louder than words. Okay.
Okay.
That's
but
all I'm saying. You can say
so
anything.
what
but I
actions
go by,
are different?
I go by what people show me, not what they tell me.
Right.
Okay, but what actions are going to be different?
That you're ready to jump in.
No,
Without
no.
even knowing me, because I could tell you anything, and it sounds good, and now what? I changed my mind a year later, now what? What are you going to do?
He done dicked you down and bought you
No.
flowers, and you still there.
But my point is this.
What's your point?
Okay, I'll make it.
I'm listening.
My point is, we're talking about people that are not necessarily viciously or with intention going after women. I'm not talking about the men that are just out here trying to bed down anybody and telling them anything they want. What I'm talking about is people genuinely trying to look for that person, right? And if you're looking for someone and you know that certain things are very important to you, you need to bring them up as soon as possible. Not in a, what are you gonna do about da 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 da, or let's go have some babies. Instead, it should be, so what are your genuine feelings about this? How do you, or are you a Republican? Like, that shit matters to me. I can't date no Republican.
I would. If I like a Republican,
Go for it.
I would.
Then
I
that's
don't care.
fine, and that's
I
you.
could coexist with a Republican.
And that's you. But that, like I'm saying, for me, I wouldn't do it. That's why I.
So if you met someone that's nice, that treats you well, that makes you laugh, and you travel, you do all these things, and you find out a year in,
It wouldn't be no year in. This is where you're getting confused. I wouldn't have
maybe
the
election
time.
time didn't come
My
around
point
yet.
is, I wouldn't have my point is, I wouldn't have the time. I wouldn't have spent that much time getting
so
to
you
know
would
someone.
let a Republican walk away. That's a
Hell
nice
yeah.
guy.
Hell
Something
yeah,
wrong
because
with
because at some point
Something
there's
wrong
something
with you.
fundamentally different between us for you
But
to be a
that's not
Republican.
enough
That's
to
how
walk
I
away.
feel. It is to me
Are you
because
crazy?
I can put up with certain things. I can put up with, if you don't feel as strongly about abortion as I do, I can put up with that. You used to smoke and now you're getting over it. I can put up with that. But I'm talking about for
Man,
me.
listen.
There are things. Listen, everyone has their breaking points. Everyone
A
has their things.
Republican, though?
I find that when I discuss things, even if in the event that I were to give a Republican
I
a
can
chance.
see religion.
Listen, see, I'm more likely to understand and be open to your religion than
4 different
than
baby
that.
mamas.
Listen,
I gotta draw the line here. You're a Republican, brother. I can't.
listen, and that's for me. There could be you could have a line drawn in the sand, and if a
Like,
woman
I don't-
smokes,
like,
you
I
can
don't-
say,
I
you know
don't
what,
drink.
that doesn't work for me.
I don't drink. I don't smoke.
Exactly.
I probably would. If I had to choose, it would probably be somebody who drinks. I can't deal with somebody who smokes.
But this is my point. If you sitting on the first date with someone,
How you doing, Brian?
and
I'm good.
you sitting on the
Okay.
first date with
Good.
somebody, and they listen, you sitting on the first date with someone, and they say, "Oh, let me go and take a smoke break." Are you going to call her back for another date?
Probably not.
Okay, that's my point.
I said
You need
probably
to,
not.
but either way, that's fine. My
I
point
might
is,
have to put the patch on her or something, man. Help
bruh,
out.
but you don't know her enough to care to
That's
do
a
all
good
that.
word. I might have to.
But you don't-
If I
So-
think she's worth it, I might.
So we have a question
Sorry.
from someone who is watching us on live, and they are wanting to know what's a woman that you would want to marry?
You know what? I know what I like when I see it. I don't have a dream girl. You know, it's like someone will come along and they just, they take your spirit and, the world moves in certain ways and you're just drawn to this person. So that's what I look for. I don't have a certain height, a certain complexion, a certain weight, and all this other. It's just I know what I like when I see it.
Brian?
And do you also know what you don't like?
Oh, definitely, we all do.
And do you not think that you should weed out people on the first date that might have those
Well,
attributes that you don't
if
like?
there's no attraction there will be no first date.
But there's always going to be an attraction. You're not on a date in the first place. My point is when you're on the date and you
No,
come to find out
no.
that she's a heavy smoker,
No,
Are
I don't
you-
know that before the date.
how? You
Because I'm
met
old
her?
school. I meet people
Yeah.
face to face.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You ran into her on the street. She was beautiful. Y'all been talking on the phone
can
and you
tell
said,
it's
let me
smoke.
go on a date.
You're going to be able to tell.
You can tell it's smoke.
There will
Okay.
be no date.
You can
Okay.
tell
You
it's
smell
smoke.
it. Like,
So
okay,
what do you
bro.
think, Brian?
I'm sorry, you don't mean questions. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Brian, what's your favorite color?
Lock it in.
Black.
So what would make you want to marry a woman?
We both have to be at our best selves, like literally. Like I have to be, at my best self, and not dependable. I don't depend on anybody, and she has to be that as well. And like I said, we both have to be at our best selves, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then that's where we more than likely recognize that, and then.
So someone that knows themselves and has taken the time to.
Yeah. Someone that's
Someone that knows that they want to get married from the first date.
No, not that. Because every girl wants to get married. That's what they.
Not every girl. There's a lot of women that will
condition
tell you that they don't want that.
When a child is like, in their preteens and the kids, they it's conditioned for them to get married.
It's
it's
a traditional thing.
First comes love, then comes marriage. They have a song about it and all that. So
Right.
you know what I mean.
But that's just to keep people from fucking before marriage. That's what that song is
Whatever,
about.
man.
I'm saying that's what the song is
But
about. The song is trying to teach kids like first comes love, then comes the marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage.
Right,
That's the
right.
idea.
But
Didn't work for everybody.
I think that to touch on the point with Brian, that we are conditioned to want the marriage because of all of the things that are supposedly come with it. But in this day and age, in 2018,
The schematic has changed.
Nobody's safe.
Right.
Nobody is safe.
That's a fact.
So if you're not going to be safe, what's the point of being in a relationship with just one particular person if you're not ready to give that type of a commitment? Because marriage is a commitment, and so is you deciding that this is going to be my girlfriend.
Right.
And my issue with that, why don't you just be like a single person entertaining different people versus you spending years or amount of time with one particular person if you don't want to go that next step and be married to someone.
But like she just said, there are women that doesn't want to get married.
But
hold on. So now what if I want to get married and I happen to fall for a woman that she doesn't want to get married?
But
what am I supposed to do?
a woman doesn't want to get married because she's a woman. To be honest, I think that now because it's 2018 and we're doing so much for ourselves that it takes a lot. Like I'm a single person, and I have people around me and be like, girl, why don't you do this? And why don't you do this? And why don't you do this? But it has to be an inviting reason for me to break out of my peace and my sanity to enjoy someone else. And it's one of those things where, at this point in the game, I would love to get married. That's what I've, thought about on and on. I know what color my dress is. I know all my people who's going to be there so I can stunt on them. But at the same time, I'm also one of those people who is, I'm not going to settle. And I'm not a person that's just going to waste my time with just, John.
Listen, here's the thing. If me personally, if I'm with you and I love you and I enjoy what we have and you don't want to get married, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here.
Well, that's a
so let me ask you a question. What is your longest relationship that you've had?
15 years.
15 years with one person.
Yes.
You never cheated on her.
Nope.
Okay. Then why didn't you get married?
Dropped.
Why didn't you?
Do you have children together?
I don't have any children.
You're a unicorn.
Why didn't you get married?
Why? Because it was brought up, and at the time she wasn't ready. So we just.
Oh, so
it was more of a her that wasn't ready.
Okay.
Sounds like experience.
Okay, I thought that you were just one of those
No, but I was cool with her not being ready, and we just.
Are y'all still together?
That's fine.
No.
Okay.
Is she with someone else, or you don't even care?
Cool. Like we talk.
Is she
all the
married
time.
now?
No.
Okay.
Wow.
I remember one time I was dating this girl, and she wanted to settle down and start a family and get married and everything, and I wasn't ready. So she told me, well, I'm giving you till July. And
Absolutely.
So on and so forth. And July came and went, and we went our separate ways.
At 3 p.m.
Yes.
July 17th at 3 p.m.
And,
Yes.
we kept in touch, and she got a new boyfriend or whatever, and they lived together. So she called me one day. She said, "Oh, I bought a house." I said, "Well, that's nice." I said, "When are you guys moving?" She said, "Oh, he's not coming with me."
Oh.
I said, "But I thought that's what you wanted." Yeah. She said, "Yeah, I thought that's what I wanted too."
Yeah.
But now I realized I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, so you left me because I didn't want to give you that.
Right.
But now you have someone who's willing to give you that, but you don't want it anymore. So it goes back to what I was saying. People are entitled to change their minds.
Yeah.
And marriage doesn't mean anything if both parties involved are not in it 100%.
Right.
And most time, there's one person that's like, I really don't want to do this. Okay.
But I don't think
So
you say
stop
most.
forcing. No.
I don't
Stop
think
forcing
most
the
more
issue.
married people
Like I
like
said,
that.
I love you. I respect you. I'm with you all the time. We do everything together. I just don't want to do that.
And
Am I wrong for that?
I honestly think that.
No one's saying
But
you're
if
wrong
you're
or
doing
not.
marriage things, why can't
What's
you get the
marriage
contract?
thing?
Let me ask you.
Marriage things
You know what I
is
see?
we living together.
Hold on, Angela. Let Brian say something.
This is what I've noticed. This is real talk. I've noticed that people who were never married feel like that is the end all be all.
Right.
And then I feel like, and then I've spoken to people who are currently in marriages, house, money, wife, and they're miserable. So I think it's just like they say that the chase is better than the catch. But I feel like the best advice will be coming from someone who was married in a long-term relationship.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they give us their point of view on that.
Here's my thought about what both of you have said, right? So, Brian, when you said that to be able to marry someone, or what you think someone that you'll be able to marry would be like, you said a whole person who knows themselves, who is aware of themselves, etc., and at their best self. Now, you said that the young lady that you were talking to, she, didn't want to move in or wanted you to move in, and then eventually didn't make it work with you, and then eventually changed her mind later on about this new guy. Now, I have to agree with Brian in that if she had really been completely aware of herself in her knowledge of what she wants from her life, she would have known whether or not that's something that really matters to her. I do think that you just need to take your time. Like, everyone needs to know who the hell they are in all of themselves. You know what I mean? Be completely self-aware before you try to find someone to partner up with you. Because if you're not, that's when you start changing your mind, gears into it. But this is my point. People shouldn't be getting married until they've done that.
But people don't even do that to get into a regular relationship.
But that's the difference between a regular relationship and a marriage.
Yeah,
you know what the
definitely.
problem is with people? We don't do what we want because we're worried about what other people are going to say about us.
Absolutely.
They're going to judge us. Oh, don't shack up, girl. Don't play yourself, girl. What's wrong with that? If that's what you want to do, what's wrong with that if
Absolutely.
both parties involved agree with that?
I think you should
What's wrong
live
with that?
together, first of all, because I think that
so
not living with someone and then
People
realize
don't
they
take
don't
the
clean
time
up.
to get to know each other. Okay? And getting to know somebody takes time. It ain't like 6 months. It takes time.
Yeah.
So, of course in the beginning,
Let's say 6 years on average to know someone.
I would say 3 years minimum. Okay.
That sounds about that's a more comfortable number.
Why I say 6 years? It takes
'Cause he
6
tried
years to
it.
get a master's degree if you're consistent with it.
A master's degree takes 2 years, sir.
No, what I'm saying
On top
is
of
to
your
get
in your
no,
field,
I'm
you're saying.
Yeah, I'm talking about from the starting process to the end.
Oh, okay.
It's about 6 years.
I mean, there's accelerated programs that'll do it in 4.5.
I think
Facts.
that
You know.
you should
And I
just
know somebody in admissions.
There's a
Right.
23-year-old that just got her PhD. What's next? What's up?
Shit.
I think a person should just live their life according to how they see best fit for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you
And stop
can't.
worrying about what everyone else is doing.
Society
or
will
what
mess you up every time.
Agreed.
And that's why we even having this conversation, because there's so many different people who are like, well, I don't really want to do it, but what about my mom? And I want to make my grandmother happy, and my
Yeah,
grandfather
that's-
before he dies, and
Yeah.
so you're putting a rush on things that you really don't want to rush. You want to
Absolutely.
sit back, so live your life.
But you're sitting back. My whole thing is, I don't mind if you're sitting back and you're solo. But when you're
Exactly.
involving, we had this kid and we did
Exactly.
this and we did that, it blows my mind when men will say, "Oh, I'm not ready to be married, but I'm ready to have a kid with you." Or it blows my mind that they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not ready for a relationship, but we've been living together, paying bills together, and doing all these things
4
together."
years.
Listen,
Like,
I feel
you
like
know.
a child is more of an attachment than a marriage is. That's how I honestly
Yeah, you
feel.
can't walk away
Because you
from
can't.
it.
Yeah,
That's
I
Yes,
mean,
you can.
A lot of men do.
I was raised in a single parent
A lot
home.
of men
Yes,
do.
you can.
I understand
A
that.
lot of men
and
do.
here's the thing,
Yes, you
here's the
can.
thing
A
with that.
lot of men do it.
When we're young, we don't understand the inner workings of a relationship. So there's a reason why there's single parent homes, okay?
Yeah.
And until you become an adult or probably wind up in that same situation, then and only then you will understand. So I don't know why men leave, but
Because they can.
and it's not,
Or because
There's no
they weren't supposed to be there in the
consequences.
first. Exactly.
This causes child support.
It has,
There, if
listen,
you can find that nigga.
Hold on. It has to take a
Niggas out
lot.
there.
Something really, really dramatic had to take place for me to walk away from my child and this woman who I once loved.
You're a good man.
Hold on, no, wait a minute.
She held you down.
Something had happened.
She didn't want to
But
get
I'm
out.
saying
Now
you're a
you
good
gotta
guy.
say to yourself, what happened? I
She didn't wanna
loved
get
you. I would have done anything for you. Now I'm ready to walk away.
But
What happened?
you're looking at it on
Because
too
you
big
were
of a
not
scheme.
ready for the responsibility.
there's
No,
people-
of that.
no. You see, you worrying about responsibilities. There's guys that's not with the women and still take care of their kids. It's
That's
not.
true.
It's not the
That's what I'm
responsibility.
saying.
He
You're
just
looking
doesn't
at
want to
it-
be with her.
But you're looking at it in
But
the
I was
scheme
good
of a
enough to
good
be the mother of
guy.
your kid.
Oh,
There
until
are-
I found out that your ass was crazy.
But I was crazy before I dropped the baby.
Let me explain something to you.
You're
Nah,
crazy.
nah,
You're
women-
crazy.
Now you're making the same
Women
faces
don't-
I was making
women
earlier.
change. Women
And that's his
definitely do change.
that's his
No.
mentor.
No.
Nah, listen.
No.
Let me tell you
What does that
something.
mean?
No.
Bruh.
Out the gate,
No.
men let you know what they are.
No.
If I'm crazy, I'm gonna let you know I'm crazy. Women don't let you know until you fall
You
in love
just-
with
I
them.
absolutely.
You
Then-
just
I
told me that
absolutely
men
let
will
you
say
know.
anything that they
I
want
do.
to get into bed with you. So how are you telling me that
I
men will show you the
absolutely-
truth of who they are,
hold on,
and then in that
hold
same
on.
breath tell me that
And
they'll
in
lie?
2018, women do the same thing.
I absolutely,
Jesus Christ.
I absolutely let you know what time it is from the time that you meet me. And there are people who can say, "Well, I knew Angela at 4:00, at 4 years old. She's still rolling her eyes. She's still popping her
But
neck.
that ain't
She's still
crazy.
doing X amount of
That
things."
ain't
But what I'm
crazy.
saying to you,
You can
I
say
have,
she's still quick to cut a
I'm
nigga
still
off. Don't
quick
get
to cut a nigga
comfortable.
off. Don't get comfortable. But what I'm
That's
saying
what
to
she
you,
is.
what I'm saying to you is, I show you who I am from the gate. Like, Brian's only known me for 2 seconds, and he could probably tell you, well, Angela's very opinionated. She's very this. She's very this. And I'm not
She's very
saying those are fault.
overqualified.
I'm very overqualified. But what I'm saying to you is, so there is no surprise, nigga. I just got out of the insane asylum.
Right.
I show you bits and pieces of me. Like, just meeting you, I can tell that you're very intelligent. I can tell that you have a certain way of doing things, and I can also tell that you are very
Set in your ways.
set in your ways. And I also know that it'll take a certain kind of woman in order for you to break your peace or whatever you have going on, in order for you to entertain it because of your busy schedule and busy who you are. And you're a Gemini. Hey. But what I'm saying to
Y'all
you
both
is,
crazy.
what I'm saying to you
Whatever.
is, we're the most sanest
Most
sign
sanest.
anyway.
You can't even say it correctly. Your inner.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, okay.
But what I'm saying to you is, you're saying that it takes 6 years for someone to show you crazy.
No, I said that.
Or 6 that you show you
That's
crazy.
like 3
That
years
girl,
to get
that
on
girl, whoever you invested your 6 years in, showed you she was
Sure
cuckoo
did.
for Cocoa Puffs the first year
She
y'all
turned
got together.
up on the waitress when the
She
waitress
turned
walked
up.
over to the table because her titties
And
was
because
out,
her
and she
ass
was
was
like,
so
"Absolute,
big."
what is your problem? You can't wear a shirt." That's
Yeah.
she was
At the
showing
end
you
of the
she was
day-
jealous
Yeah.
from the first
Yeah.
day.
Where'd you go? I don't
You
know.
will know. It's like you will know when that person come along.
Yeah.
We
Right,
all
absolutely.
we all will know. We could
Absolutely.
say, oh, this
Absolutely.
and it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
There's something that happens to you
When you
Yes.
fall in love with somebody.
when that person comes along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
You know,
true.
your world abruptly stops.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
guess what? You're still intrigued and you're still moving forward. Even
Yeah.
though you're like, I don't know what's going on, but
Yes.
I'm going to
Yeah.
go see.
Yes.
Okay?
But
so, and when that person come along, then all these things that we're discussing right now, it's not even going to matter.
It is gonna matter though
It's
because
not, it's
well,
it's
I
not gonna
also
matter.
wanted to piggyback on the wasted time thing. I feel like there's no such thing as a wasted time. You know what I mean? No, it's
That's
really not.
craziness.
Because you're gonna end up learning in retrospect. You're gonna learn something from that. Even if it's don't waste time. You learn that. You feel me?
Right.
So if you're going into when I go into any relationship, situationship, whatever it is, I'm looking forward to learn something from that person. I'm not gonna leave here feeling like, damn, I didn't learn shit from this. You know?
Absolutely, but my
So-
point is there's a difference. We're not talking about people genuinely coming into something open, wholehearted, honest, etc. There's a difference. The difference here, and the reason I'm saying wasting time is when what? Oh, it's done. Okay. Is when
That's why I'm recording.
people. Good job. Look at you being smart.
He had
It's
one
when
job.
one job. Who knows? This will probably be crazy looking.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
My point is this.
Mhm.
If someone comes into something and a woman is genuine and honest and in the first however long ask you the genuine question, so what do you think about marriage? And you as a man that doesn't want to get married tells her, you know, I'm not against it, or I could do it, I could see it. You're feeding her some bullshit that's
cold
going to
word.
No,
eventually,
no,
please
no,
listen,
no.
let me finish my point. But that will eventually waste her motherfucking time, because if in 2 or 3 years she's looking at you sideways like, hey, so what's up, like we living together, you know, you really like me, we really like each other, I told you that I wanted to get married, you seemed fine with that, and
He didn't
then
seem
later
fine
on,
with it.
but the point is he just said earlier that men will say anything that they need
But
to
he
to
told
get
you.
women.
He said I
I
could
was
see it.
speaking
That's
on
not
something
definite.
specific.
That's not definite.
Stop
What were you
trying
saying
to mince
specific?
about just getting you to lay down with me. Okay.
Okay, and
I was
that's
specifically
absolutely fair.
talking about that.
Absolutely.
What I was now back to what you were saying. Now, again, we could say all these different things until that person shows up. I'm
Right.
telling you.
Right.
Or I could sit there swear and stack, but I will never. And then I'm like, man, who's that?
Right.
You know?
Sure.
And now
Absolutely.
all those things, they be like, but Jay, but you said, don't worry about what I said. You know?
I am renewed daily.
I am renewed. I don't even know her. Who is that said that
At
shit?
the end of the day,
What?
you know,
That was Joseph.
at the end of the day, women are going to always take a certain position on this.
Right.
And men are always going to take a certain position on it. Position on this. But moving forward, I think together, we're better off. Whether it's married or living together or 5 years or 10 years or whatever, stop making it an issue, okay? Because what is marriage? It's a commitment, right?
Yes.
I could commit to you without being married to you.
And
In
I-
my
and I-
heart,
and I can
in my
prove that,
soul, I
too.
know
That's real
that
talk.
I'm committed to you and only you. I only see you. I don't care about nobody
So why
else.
can't you get married?
Because I don't believe in it.
Why,
So
why
now
not?
what?
That's a
What are you
difference.
not
So
believing
now
in?
That's a difference.
If marriage is just a commitment
That's
and
a
you
difference.
believe
Okay,
in
let me
committing
ask you
to me,
something.
then
That's
what's
a
the
difference.
difference?
That's a
Why not
difference.
just do it? And
If you don't
especially
believe in it, it's a
especially
difference.
if you know that
So
it's
marriage is
something
the
that
only
matters.
commitment in life?
No, but
No.
it's
So
a very
I can't be
important
committed
one.
to you without being married to you?
I didn't say that. I'm
Okay.
saying if you don't believe in the constitution of marriage, then it's a mute discussion, because that means in your heart of hearts and in your mind of minds,
You have a back door. You can get out of it.
It's not
You
necessarily
can
a back
always get
door.
out. Anybody can get out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
but it's a lot harder
it's
if you're
not-
married.
So
It's
why
not.
do you think it's hard?
It's not.
My point is this. My
It's
point
not
because
hard.
let me tell you this right
It's
now.
not.
Let me
You
tell
keep saying it's
Okay,
hard.
fine. Listen. I was engaged, right? I'm gonna bring up my friend, and please just listen. Listen to the whole story. My friend and I, two women, we have daughters not far apart from each other in age.
Uh-oh.
Listen, she was married. I was not, but I was engaged. I was getting ready to consider that, and then realize, you know what? Once he put that ring on my finger, I had to really deeply consider, is this what I want to do with this man? And ultimately, decided not to.
Damn.
Now, please stop.
Sorry.
Don't be annoying. So when I finished that, even though we have a child together, the separation was very simple. He moved out. I got my own apartment. That was it. We now work on co-parenting, etc. In her getting divorced, she now has to pay, her and her husband have to pay money. They have to pay a mediator. They have to legally figure that shit out. She has to change her last name back. There is way more to it, period, than just walking. My point is this, because of that, it took them longer, and by them I mean her, longer to decide this is what I really want to do, period, because when you know that something is going to be very difficult, you sit down and at the very least say, is there a way that I can fix this? Or is this something that's just a small problem that we're dealing with, and maybe I need to take a minute and let's see if it works out.
This is
Maybe
how you
let's
fix
try
it.
counseling, etc.
No, this is how you
Period.
fix it. If everyone stopped living life, the fantasy of life, and living the reality of life, we'll be better off.
Okay, and what does that mean?
What it means is stop worrying about what could be, what should be, and worry about what is. Okay? Look at what's in front of you. Okay?
Right.
And live life accordingly to what's in front of you. Because most of us are in love with the thought of being married.
That is
And
true.
the imagery that's been depicted
Okay? But
about love. And
we don't
marriage.
want to put in the work.
I agree.
We don't want to do the things that's necessary to make it work.
That's
We
real
just
shit.
want to pop off and wear our dress and bling bling. But then after that's done, when the smoke clears and the dust settle, you're like, well, this is real? Yeah, it's real.
Absolutely.
Okay? I'm going to get on your nerves. There's going to be days when you can't stand me.
But I couldn't stand you when we were dating.
Okay, so
So if
it doesn't.
that's
So nothing is going to change.
so why do you need to live
But
with
the
someone
difference-
then?
Because
Exactly.
Why?
most people.
Why don't you have separate
Hold on,
apartments and
hold
go on about your
I'm-
life?
I'm all for that. Most people
Facts.
do that because it's easier on them financially. Okay?
That's true. That's why. I said
That's why
that's-
most people do it.
and that's-
And most people who get into that situation because it doesn't make sense. You're paying $1,500 over here and I'm paying
Yeah.
$2,100 over
So
there.
you come together,
Yeah.
which is like a
But-
marriage.
No, but like he said, it's a business. It's a business.
And something being
Okay?
like a
Because
marriage isn't a
I-
marriage.
I don't have to live with anybody. I could live by myself. I don't have a problem with you living over there, and you could have, come and go as you
Me and my
want.
studio apartment.
Okay?
I'm good.
I'm good. You gotta understand something.
I don't need the extra
Yeah.
bedroom.
When you're with someone all the time, it's a problem.
It is. It's a lot.
It's a problem, and these are the things that we don't discuss. I love you, baby, but guess what? You're gonna get on my
She
damn
excited.
nerves.
Look at her.
There's gonna be times when you're gonna walk
I
past
love
me,
being co-signed.
butt ass
I love
naked,
being
and I'm not
co-signed.
gonna pay you no mind.
I love cosign.
Okay? I'm not. And you're gonna be like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me. You going somewhere? Okay then, relax. there's gonna be those droughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, I'm done. I want to leave. No, you signed up for this. This is
But you're making my entire point, which is that people don't want to put in the work. And when listen, please, when you are not contractually married, it is very easy for someone to just get even a moment of looseness, understanding, okay, you know what, men, maybe, listen, my point, people might see something that they think is better than what their current situation is. If they have the easy out of just being like, well, honestly, all it's going to cost me is losing my security deposit, let me dip out, they might be way more likely to actually try that shit and lose something.
To them? What if they could
No, my point is
finances.
this. But listen, my point is this. My point is that if you are married to someone, because he said people want to get married and not put in the work. For me, marriage, the reason I would get married is because that person is telling me I'm willing to put in the work with you.
But you got to put in the work too for him to stay.
Well, I say willing to put in the work with you. I never said for you or by myself. I'm saying with you, us both.
At that time.
Exactly, absolutely. But the point is this: you're doing this because we're talking about long term. We're not talking about in your fresh and fun years. We're not talking about before you have kids. We're talking about when you turn around and you're 60. And your children have grown up and they're out the house, and you married your best friend, so that person is still here, and y'all can get to go on your trips. You're retired. But my point is, yes, you can. But there's also the people that stick around and they think that, oh, I got that, I'm gonna have that with this person. They give them those fresh and fun years, and then when they're 45, that person is like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna dip out and be with this 28-year-old.
Give me one benefit. One benefit of being married. One.
Taxes. Next.
So money?
Next.
So the money?
I said tax. You said business.
That's not a benefit.
It's a business.
That's not a benefit.
It's a business.
If you're in the because there's married people that fall separate.
Doesn't matter.
There's married people that fall separate.
And that's their decision. That doesn't make it less of a benefit.
It's not a benefit.
If you're in the military, you get certain benefits
well,
because
I
of
am
that.
not in the military. Give me one benefit for real people.
She would have to be married to answer that.
My point.
There are no benefits.
My point is there are benefits.
Tell me one.
I told you taxes, and also having a better, just overall feeling and belief that person is there for you.
But it can leave. But people can.
I'm not saying people can't. I'm not saying people cannot leave.
There are no benefits.
Then why is it that you do it legally? And you have such a big problem getting out of it. If there were no benefits, no one would do it. There's
no
reasons
benefits.
for it. There are.
Tell me one.
Here,
Tell me one.
To be honest, when I listened to what we're saying, and we talked about why you want to get married, and you asked me that question. To be honest, I want to. When you get married, a lot of it has to be, your environment and your grooming with people telling you that that's what you should be doing. If you really want to get to the
absolutely.
nooks and crannies. I'm not saying that's incorrect. But there are people that have had like he said, long-term commitment, and they've been together and they ain't going nowhere and blah, 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 blah. But I think that with getting married, it's just, I won't say it gives you a false, I will say it.
He's laughing at you.
Thank you. It comes full circle.
It gives you. It does give you, because it gives you a false promise.
What
because even if I'm dating you for 10 years, you can
promise
leave. Even if I'm married to you, you can leave for 10 years. You can leave.
Absolutely.
And that contract doesn't mean anything, because people can dip out, start a whole family, and don't never get divorced.
And there's some people who divorce and don't get remarried for a reason.
Like Russell Simmons and whatever, he's never getting married again. So all the women who come in, he only married Kimora, and she's the only one who can deal with his business.
Facts.
Everybody else, he hasn't had no other extra kids. She done went through and had about 4 or 5 different husbands and kids, but she ain't let go of that Simmons last name.
But like I said, so then why do you want to get married?
Because I was always told that that's what you should want to do.
You're changing your narrative.
I'm not changing the narrative, because if you really, really think about it, the reason why we want to do certain things is because that's what's always been drilled on. Because if no one ever told you about marriage, you wouldn't even think about it. And that's for myself. That's myself.
And may I add, the schematic of a vehicle from the first
You
car
didn't
to
use
now.
schematic, did you?
I did.
Your little $800 word. You better come through, Brian. He reads.
SAT.
Ladies, he reads. B-Rock 718.
Underscore. Don't forget the underscore.
That's the
Underscore. He don't want to get married, but he can read,
ICDC.
girl.
But he never
He
said
can
don't wanna
read
get
to
married.
you.
He never
When-
said that.
Yeah, you know what I
Read
mean?
It's a
Lies.
business if you get married to Brian.
Read these
That's
lies.
ICDC.
Let me ask you a question.
But look,
Let
but-
Brian say what he said.
But my whole thing is that it changed. The first vehicle that was ever made by the Fords or whatever
Yes, the
to now,
Fords.
it changes. It's a completely different thing. The same thing with the dynamic of marriage and relationship. It's changed over the years.
It absolutely
And what happens
has.
is now we don't have any real evidence or real proof
Right.
to what works nowadays.
right.
So we're all really just trying to figure it out. What my mentor is saying is that live in the moment. And I think right now, instead of worrying about the dream and what the glitz and the glam that was promised to us, we're gonna set ourselves up for failure with that. Just live in the moment and enjoy that, and then that's where you build from. And that's where
But
I
how are
stand.
you building if you're living in the moment?
Because-
Like the
How,
idea.
how are you
Listen.
not building?
The idea is you live in the moment, but also think about your future.
Of
That's
course,
all I'm
but
saying.
at the same time, always remember that let nature take its course.
You can't fight
There's
time
that word nature,
because
girl.
because if it works, it works.
Let
If
it
it doesn't,
happen.
it doesn't.
Stop forcing it.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. You can't. I can't force you to be with me if you don't want to be.
But the point is, the way that I find out if I want to be with you or not is by asking you certain questions from the
Actually,
jump.
don't
Because
ask-
there's no
let me-
such
let
thing
me-
as
let
I'm
me
gonna
teach you something.
Okay.
Okay. Let me teach you something. The best way to learn a person is just sit back and watch.
Your actions tell you everything.
Absolutely,
Study,
I
for real.
completely agree.
Don't ask questions.
Completely
just
agree.
Sit back and watch.
Absolutely.
You'll find out more than what they want you to know.
That's true.
Sure,
You sit
but
back and
But
watch.
you
My-
also
So
got to
your
be receptive
questions-
into learning. You
your
gotta be
questions means
receptive into
nothing
learning
at the
a
end of the day.
person.
They can
Okay.
tell you anything, any answer what you want. All right, fine, yeah, cool, we can do that. Okay, don't ask. Just sit back and watch.
Okay.
With the intent of learning, because it's not wasted time. Because if
It
you're learning something, no, real talk. Because I realize that I've seen women who go from man to man, man to man, man to man, and they would do 15 years doing that instead of learning just one guy. And then once they realize that, I've been literally running around the block for 15 years where I could have just learned something valuable from one person.
I'm
feel
not
me?
I'm not disagreeing with you in any respect on that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my kind of concept, because I think you guys might be confused as to where I'm coming from. I'm not saying everyone should get married. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it has to be a priority for everyone at all, period.
Everybody not built for that.
Absolutely, and that's fine. And my point is this. Okay, I'm going to give you a metaphor. If I were to be an employer, right? I love to use the job metaphor. And I talk to someone on the first, job interview. They tell me, yeah, I'm great, whatever. Looking at their resume, they seem great. They're down for all of the requirements of the job. They have their great degree, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? I tell that person, come on in here and work. Okay, cool. And they're here and they're working, and they start to realize, you know what? I never really got an actual offer letter. I never really signed an actual contract to do this work with this person. But I'm gonna do it because I want to do it, and they are technically paying me. Yeah, they're paying me under the table, but I'm getting what I want from that. Cool. In 5 years, if that job decides, you know what, I'm out. I don't need you anymore. You did your job. That's fine. Watch this cup right there.
Mm-hmm.
You did your job, and that's great, and thank you. And you have no contract that you ever signed with that job, you're out on your ass, and that's it. Period.
You know
There's
what
no
the problem is?
What? I don't have a problem.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what your problem is.
My problem is this, but okay. Go ahead.
You're
Go ahead.
worrying about things that you need not worry about.
How can
okay?
you say that?
You can tell.
Go ahead.
You keep bringing up the word contract.
That's what marriage is. That is the big difference between dating and marriage. Is the contract of
No.
marriage, the legal
No.
That
binding.
will always scare a man away.
No.
I don't give a fuck. The
Well,
the man that
that's
I'm
why
gonna be
you're not
with
gonna
is.
get married.
I had a ring on my motherfucking finger.
And
I
what
could have
happened?
gotten married.
And what happened?
I decided not to do that because I knew that I wasn't ready for that commitment with that person. My point is this:
you keep
the
bringing up
person
the
that I'm
word
going to get married
contract.
to. I want my idea of marriage is not just a business. It's not just, we're going to reproduce. My idea is love. I do believe in love. And
So
I do believe that.
Where does contract come from?
My point is, I know
If it's
that
love.
for me, this is for me. Again, we're not getting married. That's
I
clear.
know that.
That's clear.
That's
So
for
you don't
damn
have
sure.
to take it personal when I tell you my idea
Who's
of this
taking anything
marriage.
personal?
Well, you're telling me I'm never going to get married. That's a little bit of a
you keep
personal thing
saying
to say to someone.
contract. Any man that's going to sit down and as soon as that word contract comes out,
No, he's
gonna be
not.
like,
I'll tell you
No,
what.
because you don't speak for any and all
Listen,
men.
hello?
You don't.
Okay.
Especially not when dealing with me.
I'll tell you
because
what.
the man,
I'm not
hold on,
dealing
Brian.
with you.
The man, but my point is, you don't speak for any man. You don't speak for all men.
I think
Listen,
it's fair for me to
okay.
say that, and I'm going to speak
And
on the
that's-
behalf
Okay.
of most, if not all,
And go ahead,
men.
because I don't need
Okay?
most or all men. I need my man.
Okay.
That's all I want
and I'll
is my
speak
man.
for your man.
You can't
You
speak
bring
for my
up
man
the
because he's not
word
going to have the same
contract.
ideas as you.
Okay.
Period.
Listen.
He's
Okay.
not going to have the same ideas. My point is this. The man that I end up with,
Mm-hmm.
period, is going to share the same ideas and want to get married as much as I do. That's it.
What kind
That's
of man?
it.
What kind of man are you looking for? What kind of man attracts you?
What kind of man? Why are we getting into this? That
I'm
has
asking
nothing
you
to
a
do.
question because I'm curious.
I appreciate someone that has their own mind, knows what they want in their lives, and is also caring, funny, clearly attractive, and a hustler. Like you don't have no money. Money is honestly not the biggest
When you
thing.
say
as much-
contracts, that's what I'm hearing.
But contracts, it doesn't even if
Because
it's
I guarantee you,
even if
if
it's
you had a lot of money, you'll get a lot of proposals. That's real
and that's
talk.
fine. And that's fine. But I will know how to weed out. I've already had a fucking proposal. Like I know
Okay,
how to,
that doesn't mean anything.
my point is this. My point
A
is this.
proposal, okay.
My point is this. I know. Listen, what you're not understanding is this. The reason because of I have been proposed to and been engaged, I understand that there is a lot of thinking that needs to go into what you want to be with this person or not. I understand that you cannot just up and get married just because
Baby,
it looks good. I'm not trying to get
listen
married.
me.
But
Listen to me.
go ahead.
A proposal doesn't mean anything.
Okay,
It doesn't.
Get
It
closer
really
to me.
doesn't. Trust
that's
me.
solid.
So
There's a lot of women that's been proposed to and never gotten. Okay, that doesn't mean anything.
but do you
What I'm saying is I got proposed to and I didn't get married on my own.
I know, I'm not
but do
saying
you
you
think
didn't.
but do you think that the reason why you didn't get went all the way through it is that he was showing signs that this couldn't be your forever?
Exactly my point.
So
My point is, I know that when I find the person to get married to, like you said earlier, you're gonna know. And I felt in my soul that I wasn't feeling that
So why did
pull
you take the ring?
because I
That relationship would have lasted longer if you didn't propose.
Probably.
That's
Why
what
did you
it
take
is.
the
possibly
ring?
it possibly would have. Well, honestly, that's a longer story. I was giving it a chance, to be honest, and that's
But
the
you
whole
knew in
idea.
your heart that it wasn't.
But
gonna
my
work.
this is my entire idea. My entire point is that when you are starting to consider making a commitment with someone, you sit down. That commitment makes you, at the very least, really deeply evaluate all of your decisions.
So why wouldn't you deeply reevaluate decisions while you're dating somebody?
My point is,
And why does it get to the point of that? Because that
but that's because it's very easy for people to just have a change with the wind decision and be like, you know what? Like for instance, veganism. You can be like, you know what? I saw this one documentary and I read some shit. I'm a fucking vegan. And you go hardcore
that's
vegan.
different.
No, listen. You go hardcore vegan for 6 months. People are fickle. People are fickle. Our decisions are fickle. People, and I'm talking about regular everyday people. Maybe you might, consider yourself a more mindful man, and I do believe that you probably are. I think I'm a mindful woman in that I think that you need to take the time and really, really deeply think about every major decision you're going to make. And for me, I want the person that I end up with for the rest of my life, I want him to have done that thinking and to have come to the conclusion that he wants to marry me and be with me. That's me. Because I will have also done that thinking and come to the conclusion that I want to make this commitment to him. And that's it.
You need to get
Well,
a divorce.
those things take time.
A divorce lawyer in here?
No, not a divorce lawyer. A divorce
divorced couple?
widow or with something like that.
I want to see a divorce
A
lawyer.
wife
I would
or
talk to them
whatever.
and they would probably have all the reasons people have gotten
Those
divorced.
things take time, and at the end
Yes,
of the day,
of
like
course.
I said, you got to get to know the person.
Yes.
You got to see if they do it for you.
But
And
that's my
most of the
point.
time, it takes time to realize that.
But it ain't going to take
You know?
10 years of not being
Oh,
married.
nobody's gonna stick around for 10 years.
People do it. That's my point. Women do it, and they're
do it
delusional.
because, no, it's not delusional. It's like I've heard women say, you know what? Why go start all over?
I know people.
You know,
I know
Right.
people
For what?
engaged longer than they were married.
You know,
Like Stedman
That
and
is
Oprah.
true.
Absolutely.
Facts.
But
Absolutely.
Stedman would never.
He's not
be
gonna
able
leave. Absolutely.
He's
But he would
living
still
the
probably,
great life.
Even
no,
if
but
he
don't
did,
get. He's not broke.
Oh, he's not
Exactly.
even close to
He's
broke.
Exactly.
He's
So,
not even close to
he-
broke.
but
He
you
wasn't
see how-
broke. He
you
had
see-
more money than Oprah when he
you
got
see
with her.
how-
But we're not talking about that.
It's genuine.
Oprah's dope though.
Yeah,
She's
she's super dope.
great.
You know, You see how it's genuine. You see how they let time take its course
Yes,
and let time
absolutely.
do what it's doing.
But that's because for neither of them, marriage was as big of a priority. That's all it is.
Because they did what
because they
they
never
wanted
took their
to do.
time. But my point is, they never took their time with their careers. It's not like they sat
But
around
they
and just.
did what they wanted
But this
to
is
do.
my point. For certain people, if marriage is enough of a priority, you're
They'll
not
back.
waiting around 6 years to realize this man's never gonna marry you.
You can't
That's
say
it.
that. I know
Yes.
people who's been together since they were in high school and they didn't get married till
Because
late.
marriage maybe wasn't enough of a big enough priority
No,
for
it wasn't-
them.
But no, they knew they weren't going.
They both. She got a point though. I see because
Do you see what I'm
I do
saying?
know people that also got married within like a couple months. You feel
Right.
me?
And
then
they can still be happy
and they still
years
rocking
down
out.
the line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So either or,
It's
but
the individual.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly my point.
whatever works for you and that person. That's all you
Absolutely.
can do is whatever works for you. And like I said, it goes back to what I said, the reality and the fantasy. You know, most of us are living in a fantasy land.
Yes.
Listen, look
and
at
it
the
shouldn't be
reality
like
of
that.
life.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the base of your
I
decision.
mean, yeah, by the time you're a certain age, you should have this, you should be
Right.
doing that. But now when it doesn't happen, is life over?
Exactly. No.
No.
You know?
Exactly.
So-
Society does play in
Yeah,
a
so
large
just
part on what we
stop
think
it.
of ourselves and how
Stop
we
it. You know,
do certain things. I can
Absolutely.
agree to that.
You know,
I can
people,
agree to
we're
that.
so caught up with what we see. You know, you got people running around, you don't even know what they look like anymore.
Right.
Right.
You know, is
Right.
that you? You know, come on now, stop it already. You know?
I agree with you completely, and like I'm saying, the idea of the talk was just simply, you know, what is marriage and why is it important or why does it
Listen,
matter
was
to
a good
people?
talk. I like that.
Absolutely.
I wish it could go on. You know?
Listen, if we
Well-
had enough studio time, we definitely would, and then
We're here all night.
you will clearly have to come on back right
Yeah.
along
I'm
with.
gonna fight you.
Clearly, we're gonna be best friends though.
Oh
This is
my
what you
God.
don't realize. We're gonna be
I
best
just
friends.
got a text from Monique. She's waiting outside for you.
Oh, word?
Yeah,
That's fine.
She
I
not
don't
with
think
shits.
can she fly over here
Nah,
though?
I'm
Because
good. I'm
she
just
didn't
saying.
take that 500,000. So I don't know if her
Yo, we
money's
going
long
out the
enough.
back door, bro.
I don't know if her money's long enough to make that flight.
She's
No,
kinda
Monique,
big.
Monique, I really do, as if she's listening to this fucking podcast.
You never
I
know.
really do genuinely love you. I just really wish you would have not
sound
made
like
such a
shit.
spectacle.
No,
all I
Copping the
said-
plea.
All I said was don't make such a spectacle. Like you could have moved in silence. This has now made it very uncomfortable for everybody because
She's really
we're
not
not
outside, though.
we're not going to boycott Netflix.
So yeah, so this was a spirited debate
It was.
conversation
Mm-hmm.
starring Marion and Jay.
We did the
And-
opposite of you and Flo because you and
Oh,
Flo had gone
yeah.
head to head
Yeah.
in that one.
But it was really good. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself at the same time.
What's the overall consensus?
The
is
overall
that-
consensus is basically marriage is whatever your reality is,
Yes.
and however you want to deal with it, that's fine.
But
Some
think
people,
about it
but
before you do anything.
same way you do about relationships, you need to think about who you're spending your time with because time is one commodity that you can't get back.
Boom.
Boom.
Waste-
Mic drop.
Don't waste my time.
I want to hear what Jay had to say with that.
Go
What's his
ahead. Yeah.
consensus?
What's your consensus?
Well, I feel that
But then we do have to leave.
we go back to time. And I always say that time has a way of changing one's perspective on things.
Absolutely.
And that's all I got to say. I'm going to leave it there.
Yes, with the
Okay.
mic drop from Jay. But we are underqualified and over opinionated with
Yes.
Angela, Marion, and Angela, and this was episode 11.
Yay! See you next time.